Wife gave me divorce papers on Christmas Eve, and family cheered on her decision. I left an envelope. Please stay with me as I tell my story. And please, do not forget to support our channel by subscribing to our channel, liking our videos, and sharing your loved one. Your support means the world to us. Now to our story. Poke. Snow fell in heavy flakes outside, the kind of perfect Christmas Eve scene you'd expect in a movie. The fireplace crackled, lights twinkled on the tree, and laughter echoed through the house. Everyone was there, my parents, my sister, my wife. I thought this would be the night I gave her the surprise of her life. I had booked a trip to Santorini, a full 2 weeks away, just the two of us. I even bought a new ring to renew our vows. It was sitting in a velvet box in the pocket of my coat, wrapped in my hope for a new chapter. She stood up during dinner, said she had something to share, smiling like it was some sort of announcement. I expected her to talk about starting a family, or maybe a new job offer. Instead, she handed me an envelope, a legal envelope, divorce papers. Signed, Ready. At first, I thought it was a mistake, a bad joke, but the room didn't fall silent. It erupted into applause. My sister clapped first, then my mom. Even my father chuckled. My wife's smile widened as if she had won something. I sat there numb. The taste of cranberry sauce turned to ash in my mouth. I looked around at the people I thought were mine, realizing I had been part of a stage play this entire time. She spoke like it was a business deal, said things hadn't been working for a while, claimed we wanted different things. She mentioned freedom, growth, and all those empty words people use to make betrayal sound poetic. No one asked how I felt. No one even looked surprised. I stood up slowly, didn't shout, didn't cry. I didn't tell them about the Santorini trip, or the ring, or how I had prayed for weeks that this Christmas would heal things. I just nodded, walked to the hall closet, took off my coat and left it there. Then I reached into the inside pocket, pulled out another envelope, one they hadn't seen, and placed it gently on the coffee table in front of them. No one asked what it was. They were too busy celebrating. I turned, opened the door, and let the cold wind hit my face. They didn't open the envelope until it was far too late. Looking back, the signs were always there. I just didn't want to see them. It started with small things. Little comments from her, said with a smile but sharp underneath. Your friends are kind of immature, don't you think? Or, I feel like they don't really want what's best for you. Slowly, I stopped getting invited out. Or maybe I just stopped going. I didn't want to make her uncomfortable. That's what I told myself. Then came the comments about my decisions. Are you sure that's a smart career move? Do you really think that's the best way to handle it? Always followed by a sweet tone, always wrapped in concern. But I felt smaller every time. Less certain, less myself. At some point, I started noticing how close she had gotten to my mother and sister. At first, I thought it was a good thing. I always wanted them to get along. But then they started having lunches without me. Group chats I wasn't in. Inside jokes I didn't understand. If I asked about it, they'd all laugh. You're just being sensitive, she'd say. You always overthink. I began feeling like an outsider in my own family. Like the three of them were playing a game I didn't have the rules to. The day before Christmas Eve, I was upstairs wrapping her gift. That ring, the one I had spent weeks picking out. The one that I hoped would bring us back to who we used to be. I heard voices downstairs. Hers, my mom's, my sister's. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but something in their tone made me pause. I'm glad we're finally doing this, my wife said. He's had enough chances. My mother replied, it's the best decision you'll ever make. Honestly, we're proud of you. Then laughter. My sister added, can't wait to see his face when you hand him those papers. He won't see it coming. I stood there frozen, tape still in my hand, the gift half wrapped. My heart wasn't breaking. It was already broken, and I was just noticing the cracks for the first time. Everything made sense. The distance, the weird looks, the cold smiles. They had planned it together. Christmas Eve wasn't just about betrayal. It was a performance. A group ambush and tinsel and wine. I didn't go downstairs after that. I sat in the guest room, stared at the wall for hours, and thought about everything I'd missed. They thought I was clueless, but they had no idea that I had just changed everything. Money always changes people. Or maybe it just shows who they were all along. My father passed away 2 years ago, leaving behind a sizable inheritance. The kind of money that makes people smile to your face while counting your worth behind your back. I was named executor of the estate, properties, investments, and a small but thriving business he built from the ground up. He trusted me with it, said I was the only one who wouldn't let greed get in the way. I think that's when it started. The shift. My mother had always been controlling, but now she had reason to resent me. My sister, who'd never worked a steady job in her life, kept asking when things would be divided properly. And my wife, she started asking strange questions about trusts, ownership, account access. Subtle at first. Just curiosity. Then more frequent, more direct. Still, I brushed it off. I believed in them. That was my first mistake. Then came the property deal. My father's old cabin up north, now worth more than triple since a new highway was proposed nearby. Developers reached out, offering to buy it for a ridiculous sum. I refused, said I wanted to keep it in the family. That was when things got colder. My wife didn't understand. It's just wood and land, she told me. We could do so much with that money. My mother called me selfish. My sister stopped talking to me altogether. I didn't argue. I let them think I was soft, passive, easy to manipulate. That's what they wanted to believe anyway. But inside I was watching, listening, piecing it all together. My lawyer called me the week before Christmas. He sounded concerned. Said someone tried to access my father's business records using my credentials. Said it wasn't just suspicious, it was targeted. Someone wanted control. I didn't confront them. Not yet. I played dumb. Let them think they were winning. I went on with the holiday plan, smiled when I had to, laughed when it was expected. Meanwhile, I started moving things quietly. The company, the cabin, even the funds. I made arrangements, set conditions they couldn't break, no matter how hard they tried. It wasn't just betrayal. It was greed. They didn't want me gone because I was. The envelope was quiet, just plain white, sealed with no name on it. No one even looked at it that night. They were too busy smiling, too focused on what they thought they had won. But inside that envelope was the end of everything they believed they controlled. The first page was a signed agreement. I had met with a lawyer a month before. After months of watching the way they moved around me like vultures circling something not yet dead, I knew what I had to do. I had taken every property in my name. 2 houses, the family lake cabin, the commercial space my father ran his side business out of, and donated them to a local nonprofit that helps veterans and kids in need. Every asset gone. Gone from their reach. Gone from their plans. Page 2 was even better. A full transcript and USB with audio from a dinner I hadn't been invited to the week before. My wife had forgotten I still had access to the home security cloud storage. The microphones picked up every detail. Her saying, "Once it's done, we'll sell the properties and split the money." My mother adding, "He's too soft to fight back." My sister saying, "Make sure you hit him when he's not expecting it. Holidays are perfect." More shock. I didn't just listen to it. I had it recorded, cleaned up, labeled, and time-stamped. No room for lies. The last page was a new will. Everything I owned, including what they didn't know about, my cryptocurrency portfolio, offshore accounts, and investment bonds, had been assigned to a charity trust, and a longtime friend I knew would manage it right. Not $1 would touch their hands. And there was more. A breakdown of the bank withdrawals I'd made over the last 3 weeks. Quietly, no alerts. My accounts were empty now, but not because they took anything, because I moved it where they could never follow. I had included a short note, handwritten, sitting above everything else. It read, "You thought I didn't see what you were doing. You were wrong. This was never about love or family. It was about money, control, and convenience. You wanted me gone. Now I am. And so is everything you thought you'd take with me." I imagined silence hit them when they opened it. No more clapping. No more smiling. Just the sound of paper rustling and truth finally settling in. They planned to destroy me. But they forgot one thing. Quiet doesn't mean blind. Passive doesn't mean powerless. I was never the fool. I was just waiting for the perfect time to end the game. They opened the envelope the next morning. I imagine it happened just after breakfast, maybe still in their pajamas, sipping coffee, thinking the world belonged to them. Maybe someone thought it was just a card. Maybe they laughed as they pulled it open. Then silence. No one had expected a counter move, let alone one that precise. My wife read the letter first. I knew because her message came through 2 minutes later. "What is this?" No greeting. No emotion. Just confusion, like a thief shocked to find the vault already empty. She must have flipped through the documents quickly. Real estate gone. Assets redirected. Money vanished. The audio recording sealed it all. Proof of intent, of conspiracy. Not just from her, but from every person she'd leaned on. My mother called 4 times within 10 minutes. Each time, she left a voicemail angrier than the last. "How could you do this to your family?" she screamed into one. "You're sick in the head," in another. I didn't listen to the rest. Just deleted them all. Then came my brother-in-law, a man who never had a real conversation with me unless it involved borrowing something. He messaged me, "Let's talk. Maybe we can work something out." Work something out. As if this was a misunderstanding. As if I hadn't already watched their plan unfold step by step. While they panicked, I sat by the fireplace of a small cabin I'd rented upstate. A place with no service unless I stood out on the porch. That's how I wanted it. Quiet, isolated, peaceful. I had brought only the essentials. A bottle of good whiskey, a thick book, and a phone I left on silent. Outside, snow covered everything. Clean. Untouched. It looked nothing like the mess I'd walked away from. And it felt good. Message after message flooded in. My wife tried guilt. "You're ruining lives." My sister tried logic. You're overreacting. My mother, of course, tried rage. But I didn't respond. Not once. The group chat my family had once used for birthdays and holiday plans now turned into a thread of chaos. Accusations, blame, denial. They had been so sure I was weak, that I would freeze in the moment, that I'd beg or cry or plead. But I had learned that silence can be more powerful than shouting. And walking away with nothing left to steal? That's the loudest message of all. They thought they were holding the match. But I had already burned the bridge and walked away. From the smoke. 3 days after Christmas, the story went public, but not by me. My wife posted a long message on her social media. A black and white selfie, eyes red, face tilted just enough to look delicate. The caption started with, "I never thought I'd have to do this," and went downhill from. She painted herself as the victim, said I blindsided her, claimed I was controlling, that I hid money, emotionally manipulated her, and made her feel trapped. She wrote that she served me divorce papers to escape, but had no idea I would retaliate so cruelly. Comments poured in at first. Sympathy. Friends saying how brave she was. Her coworkers offering support. A few even called me out by name. I waited. 12 hours later, I posted once. No caption. No hashtags. Just 3 screenshots. One of her group chat with my mother and sister discussing how to ambush me. One of her bank transfer plan after the divorce. And one photo of the envelope I left behind. Then a Dropbox link. Inside were the full audio files and notarized documents. Every piece of the puzzle. No emotion. No explanation. Just facts. It didn't take long. Within minutes, the tone changed. People began editing their comments under her post. Others shared my post, quoting parts of the audio. One clip especially, my mother's voice laughing, "He's so soft, this will be easy," spread like wildfire. Reddit got a hold of it next. A popular account posted it with the title, "She tried to ruin his life on Christmas. He left an envelope instead." From there, it exploded. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube breakdowns. People dissected the timeline. Internet sleuths found her past posts, comparing the abuse she claimed to the vacation photos we'd taken just weeks before, smiling in Greece. The backlash was instant and loud. Her comments were filled with strangers asking how it felt to play the victim and get caught. People started unfollowing her. Her work profile disappeared the next day. Even some of her own friends switched sides, demanding me apologies. A few sent screenshots of their conversations with her, admitting they'd been misled. I didn't reply. I didn't have to. The internet had taken the story and done what it does best, spread the truth far louder than any courtroom ever could. They tried to erase my side before I had a chance to speak. But they forgot something. The truth doesn't need to scream to be heard. Sometimes it just needs to be seen. I never celebrated, not in the way people expected. There were no parties, no champagne. Just quiet mornings, coffee in hand, and the calm satisfaction of knowing I had finally stepped out of their shadow. 2 weeks after the posts went viral, my wife lost her job. Her company had a zero-tolerance policy for public scandal. HR didn't even ask questions. The evidence was online for anyone to see. Screenshots, audio documents. She was let go quietly, but word traveled fast. She deleted her social accounts the same day. My mother and sister didn't escape either. Their friends stopped calling. Invitations dried up. Even their charity group removed them from the planning board. Apparently, being part of a public smear campaign didn't look good on anyone's resume. But the real hit came from somewhere none of them expected. Months earlier, I had started looking through old records, noticing odd numbers in one of the family accounts. My mother had been managing a shared family fund, one that was supposed to be for emergencies and retirement plans. But things didn't add up. Transfers were being made to unlisted accounts, and large purchases were filed under vague labels. After the betrayal, I forwarded everything I'd found to the IRS, with receipts, with dates, with a polite letter saying I no longer wanted to be associated with any part of it. They responded 3 weeks later. Full audit. Formal investigation. Silence followed. She had been hiding money for years. Tens of thousands. And now, someone else was digging through every line. Every forgotten dollar. Every lie. I didn't post about it. Never mentioned it online. That was the beauty of it. While they scrambled to fix what they had broken, I watched from a safe distance. Unseen. Unreachable. People often ask what revenge feels like. They imagine it's loud, filled with shouting or dramatic confrontations. But real revenge, lasting, undeniable revenge, is quiet. It doesn't need an audience. It happens while you're already gone, while your name is being whispered with regret. I was never out to ruin them. I just refused to let them ruin me. They built their world around lies, manipulation, and greed. All I did was step back and let it collapse. Brick by brick, truth by truth. Now, while they deal with consequences they never imagined, I breathe easy. My name isn't in the news. My face isn't being dragged through gossip. And that silence? That's the sound of victory. The ocean became my new soundtrack. I moved to a quiet coastal town a few months after everything ended. No one knew me here. The locals smiled when we passed but didn't ask questions. There was a calmness to the place, waves rolling in like clockwork, gulls flying overhead, and the salty wind brushing against my skin every morning. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe without looking over my shoulder. I rented a small cottage a few blocks from the water. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I'd wake up with the sun, make coffee, and walk the shore barefoot, letting the cold sand remind me that I was still alive, still moving forward. No more noise. No more games. Just peace. It's strange how silence feels when it's no longer used against you. In my old life, silence meant tension, unspoken anger, hidden plan. Here, silence meant space. Space to think, to feel, to finally understand what real freedom was. I met someone too. Not in some dramatic way. Just a quiet moment at a used bookstore. She reached for the same novel I was holding. We laughed, talked for a bit. Her name was Claire. She was kind, with steady eyes and a voice that didn't rush. We've met for coffee a few times since then. No pressure. No expectations. I'm cautious. Not scared, just careful. I don't hand out trust like I used to. And that's okay. She respects that. We talk about books, the town, sometimes our pasts in pieces. I haven't told her everything yet, and maybe I never will. Some stories are meant to stay between me and the sea. In the evenings, I write. I've started working on a memoir, something raw and honest. It's called The Envelope. Not for the letter itself, but for what it symbolized: closure, awakening, and the decision to take my life back before anyone else could steal it. Writing it isn't easy. There are nights I stare at the screen for hours, stuck between anger and relief. But each word I finish feels like one more weight lifted. I'm not trying to become famous. I don't care if it sells. I just want the truth to exist somewhere, on paper, as proof that I survived. The past still visits sometime. A flash of memory, a moment of doubt. But it doesn't hold me like it used to. I'm not running anymore. I'm just living. Finally, fully. And freely. It was 5 years to the week since I left that house. Since I walked into the snow and never looked back. Life had changed, completely. I'd built something steady, something quiet, something real. The past had become a distant shore behind me, fading more each day. Then she showed up. I was sitting outside a small cafe by the water, reading over the final edits of the envelope. I heard footsteps, hesitant and familiar. When I looked up, I almost didn't recognize her. Her face was thinner, eyes tired. She looked like someone who had been surviving, not living. "Hey," she said softly. I didn't stand. I didn't speak. She sat down across from me without asking. Her hands trembled as she held a cheap coffee cup, the kind you get when you don't plan to stay long. "I heard about the book," she said. "Saw a quote online. I wasn't sure if it was really about." Still, I said nothing. I needed to see you," she went on. "So much has happened. Everything fell apart after you left. My job. The house. My relationships. I didn't even know how much I was depending on you until you were gone." Tears slipped down her cheeks, but I didn't reach for her. "I was stupid," she whispered. "Selfish. I thought I was winning something that night. But I lost everything. I don't want anything from you. I swear. I wanted closure. Maybe a chance to say I'm sorry. Maybe see if we could talk. Just talk." I looked at her for a long time. Then I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder. The same one I'd kept tucked away all these years. Inside, a clean copy of the envelope I'd left on the table that night. I placed it in front of her. She stared at it, unsure. Then looked up at me, searching for some sign of softness. I stood, pushed the chair back slowly. As I turned to leave, I paused just long enough to say the one sentence I had been holding in for years. "You should have read it before you celebrate." And then I walked away. No anger, no revenge, just finality. The door had closed long ago. She had burned the bridge while dancing in the flame. And now, standing in the ashes, all she could do was watch me disappear, for the second and last time. The cottage by the sea had become more than a home. It was where I found myself again, where I learned how to be alone without feeling lonely. I didn't just survive what happened. I grew from it. In the years that followed, I built something stronger than I ever had before. My work shifted. I started a small publishing firm, helping others tell stories that mattered. The memoir, The Envelope, had done well, not because it was loud or dramatic, but because it was honest. People felt the truth in it. They saw their own lives in its pages. Money returned too, slowly and quietly. Investments grew. Clients came by word of mouth. I didn't need to chase anything anymore. I wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone. That's the thing about starting from ashes. You don't carry what burned with you. You build with new bricks, stronger ones. Peace came in moments. Morning walks along the shoreline. Letters from readers who had been through their own betrayals. laughing with Claire over wine as the sun went down. She never tried to fix me. She just stayed close, steady, patient. That kind of presence taught me more about love than anything I had ever known. I never sought revenge. I let the truth do the work. And it did, quietly, without noise, without needing my hand to guide it. I don't know what happened to all of them after the dust settled. I stopped looking. That part of my life ended the night I left the house, and I never opened that door again. One cold evening, 5 years to the day since everything changed, I stood by the fire pit in my backyard. The last remaining copy of the envelope rested in my hand. The paper had yellowed at the edges, its contents long outdated, no longer needed. I looked at it one final time. Not with anger, not with pain, just stillness. Then I set it into the flames. It curled and darkened, catching fire with a soft whisper. The wind carried away the last of the smoke, and with it, the weight I didn't even realize I was still holding. That envelope had once been a symbol of defense, of strategy, of survival. Now it meant nothing. I didn't need it anymore, because I had something better than proof. I had a life that spoke for itself, a heart healed without needing to be rebuilt. And from everything they tried to break, I built this.